All right, folks. No intro today. You know what I'm noticing? Because the intro has got some music on it that YouTube says is copyright infringement. Even though I paid for it, I won't put it up. I want to get as much viewership and as many people tuning in as possible. So, folks, if you're tuning in for the first time, this is your first Hard to Kill podcast live, drop it in the comments. Be like, hey, first time. And where are you tuning in from? If you're tuning in from Canada, great. What city? If you're tuning in from the United States of America, let us know where you're tuning in from in the United States as well. And anywhere else in the planet. We got people tuning in from the UK, Australia. I got some funky data the other day that I got people in like the Eastern Bloc countries. Now I'm assuming that's because you guys are tuning in from Latvia. That's just a possibility, but some Russians are tuning in too, which is really cool. So maybe we're penetrating with our psyops into Russia right now. I don't care at this point. If you guys are tuning in, welcome. And I want to point you in the direction of a few things that are going on in Hard to Kill land today, namely on the mental health side of things, because we got a great guest today. We're going to be talking about his initiatives to ensure that we maintain our mental health. It is the end of Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, and I wanted to bring on a special guest to chat about what he's up to, because we all need to take a little bit more care of our mental health. But what does that even mean? What does that even mean? So first things first, folks, if you haven't already subscribed, liked, and or shared an episode here of the podcast, then now's the time. If you were unaware, we have the capacity to become a member here. So if you go to the Hard to Kill YouTube page, if you're tuning in on audio only, just head over to YouTube. Or if you're on your podcast player, just hit subscribe. That's the easiest thing you do. But if you want to head over to YouTube and you want to buy me a coffee, that is totally doable. You can start with a super chat. You can go into the chat right now and set one up. That would be great. $2 goes a long way. Helps me get my double. Actually, I don't even get double anymore. That's a lie. I like getting a nice fine espresso from my Italian bakery down the street. But if you also want to become a member, membership is open. So for all you folks that want to help support a Canadian veteran and his podcast endeavors, you can definitely do that. There are 2 different tiers of memberships. So you can go in here. There's all kinds of potential for future membership perks, but the membership will help grow the podcast, and subscriptions will help grow the podcast so we can get bigger and better guests every week. Thanks so much for tuning in so far. This is only just getting started. On that note, let's head over to the most important thing of the day, which is the book launch. So the Harden the Fuck Up book launch is tomorrow in Pointe Claire, Quebec. So if you're in the Montreal area and you want to come say hi, I'll be signing books from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. If you want to RSVP a spot. All right. So I know how many people are showing up. There's only 15 books. First come, first serve. First come, first serve. So the people on the RSVP list, I'm making sure that they're getting their books. But if you're going to show up, man, you got to make sure to let me know. I'll have some extra books on hand. If I run out of books, don't worry. It won't be for naught. I got something up my sleeve. All right. We're not going to leave you hanging. There's a special little cookie for all you folks that decide to come out, regardless if you're able to get a signed book there or not. I still want to see you out there. This is going to ensure that we have not only my book available in chapters, or I keep on saying chapters, man, I'm old school. I mean, Indigo books, but it also means that veteran authors, so myself, guys like Jody Middick, these individuals like the Canadian veterans that are putting their stories out there, start showing up in front of Canadians, because most Canadians have no idea what the hell we did. It's like zero idea. So if we can get more books from veteran authors into our bookstores, it'll just help with our cause, our advocacy, getting ourselves healthy, making sure people pay attention, making sure politicians pay attention. And this book is geared for the veteran to harden you up. It's not just about deadlifts. It's not just about going for runs. Actually, it's really not about going for runs at all. It's about ensuring that you improve your mental health, your fitness, your nutrition, and your recovery, all with the best experts on the planet sharing their insights in a really digestible, easy to read format that you can take action on immediately, because I put a 30-day plan in here. On top of that, you can even listen to the audiobook. So you can head to site.hardkill.org/book launch. It's here in the description, but if you're listening on audio, you can head over there or head to Amazon and get your copy today. So moving right along, I want to highlight a few things that are going on in veteran land right now. And let me just change the aspect here. I want to bring up the collaboration that myself and Corporal for Life are doing. I don't have my, where's my, I got my sticker right here. I haven't put it on my laptop just so I can show it to you guys. This is a collaboration, first of its kind between me and Corporal for Life. I've even got my Just the Tip shirt on from Corporal for Life. So we're raising a bit of money for Warrior Ventures Canada as well with every purchase. Your sticker here is $10. It is the limited edition. We are not doing a full-time run on this thing. So if you get the sticker, we know you're legit. You are a proud supporter of Canadian veteran businesses, and you can slap it on your laptop. You can, I don't know, slap it on the front of your door. I don't care where you put the sticker, but get yourself your sticker and proudly support not only this podcast, but Corporal for Life and Warrior Ventures Canada, who's doing some amazing work with getting veterans out into the great Canadian wilderness, healing up from things like post-traumatic stress and just a long, grueling career in the Canadian Armed Forces. So link is here in the description, or you could head to Corporal for Life's website, go to decals. It's one of the first ones that's on there, and pick yourself up your limited edition decal. I've got a few fundraisers in the community that I wanted to highlight as well. If you're not tracking, thanks to CNN, Corporal News Network. This guys, the Corporal News Network, if you're not following them, like, are you even part of the veteran community or the CAF community? Because this is where I get all my news from. I'll be honest. So head over to Corporal News Network on Instagram if you want to be dialed in, and it's hilarious as well as to what's going on and what's the pulse of the troops these days. But they've highlighted a few fundraisers that I want to share with you, namely the most recent one, support Ryan Matheson. So I'll just read it to you because some folks are just going to be tuning in on the audio side. So hello, Ryan is a dedicated clearance diver at Fleet Diving Unit Atlantic and a former combat engineer who has proudly served Canada with strength and resilience. Known for his toughness, loyalty, and selfless commitment to his teammates, Ryan has faced every challenge head on, both in uniform and now in his personal life. Recently diagnosed with cancer, Ryan's confronting this new battle with the same courage and determination that defined his military career. We are launching his GoFundMe to support Ryan and Chantal during this strange and challenging time, helping to ease the financial burden so they can focus on what matters most, his recovery and their time together. Your support means everything as we stand beside Ryan and his family in this fight. Every donation helps provide relief, hope, and strength when they need it most. So I'm just going to drop the link right here in the chat for now, but I'll also put it in the final rendition of the show in the description so that you guys can donate there and support Ryan and his fight. And we've also got support Lee's battle with ALS. So over the past year, Lee has endured several unimaginable medical issues. In January 2024, he suffered a badly broken leg, requiring back-to-back surgeries to repair the fracture. In March 2024, he was diagnosed with a benign brain tumor that required invasive surgery to remove. Then this January, Lee and his family received a devastating terminal diagnosis of amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, ALS, also known as Lou Gehrig's disease. ALS is a progressive neurodegenerative disease causing muscle weakness, paralysis, and eventual respiratory system failure. Despite being known for over a century, it remains severely underfunded. Although ALS has no known cure, the last few years have brought significant growth in research. Lee has dedicated his life to serving his country and his community. He spent 14 years in Canadian Armed Forces, 5 years as the BC Sheriff, and the past 18 years with Vancouver Police Department. While facing this deadly diagnosis, he still maintains a positive attitude and plans to continue to work every day and be with his team. In addition to being a loving father, son, and brother, Lee is also a dear friend to so many of us. Everyone that knows Lee knows he's a quiet guy that never asks for anything. An avid cyclist and athlete, he has devoted so much of his spare time to riding in 6 Cops for Cancer rides, helping raise millions for pediatric cancer research and programs. So folks, they've raised $89,795 of the $110,000 total. Again, I'll just post the link here and put it in the chat. If you guys want to go support these two fine Canadian heroes, please do so. And let's make sure we do more of this. Okay. That's part of the point of this show. And speaking to that, in terms of cancer and the unfortunate things that can happen to our community, we all know that things like toxic exposure and being a member of the Canadian Armed Forces brings a lot of dangers. This shows behind getting that support cemented in legislation. And thanks to folks like the Grunstyle Foundation in the United States, they are our model to follow. So stay tuned here to what we're up to on the channel. I announced last week that September 27th is going to be our Veterans on the Canal in Montreal, where we're going to start walking. We're going to start uniting the community. We need to start looking after ourselves, and we need to have a unified front against folks in Veterans Affairs that deem it necessary to take us to court one by one and try to marginalize us and try to whittle us down and try to attrit us by taking us to court, so we don't have the time or the means to fight them for the coverage that we so desperately need. So we need a PACT Act style piece of legislation here in Canada, and this is part of the fight here on the show. So go support your brothers and sisters, and let's make sure that we build a community together. So I wanted to get into now this the shit talking part of the show. And if you guys are just tuning in, we got some we got some folks dropping some comments here. Please drop some comments. I get back to them in a few seconds. I just want to get through my rant. I can't do two things at once. Overstimulated already, but I want to get into what's been on my mind before we bring on Mike here. So I wanted to go over our new public health PHAC minister, so Public Health Agency of Canada. It's kind of annoying me a little bit. So if you're unaware, this agency is in charge of public policy when it comes to health. Probably are more aware of them after the COVID experiment. Now, we have a new minister, right? So Public Health Agency of Canada has appointed its fifth president in as many years, with Nancy Hamzaoui stepping into the almost $300,000 a year role, taking over from Theresa Tam. I don't know if directly, I think there was somebody else in between Theresa Tam and her, but so let's get into her background and why this is relevant. So the new PHAC minister, Nancy Hamzaoui, was appointed president of Public Health Agency in 2025. I shouldn't say minister because it's not a ministerial position. My mistake. So following her role as executive vice president of PHAC since February 2023, her professional experience spans senior leadership roles in health, science, environment policy with Canadian government, executive vice president, Public Health Agency of Canada, up to recently, assistant deputy minister, health products and food branch, assistant deputy minister, COVID-19 testing secretariat, assistant deputy minister, science and technology, environment, climate change, various director general roles, held positions in environment and climate change Canada. Her education, she has a master's of applied science and chemical engineering, bachelor of applied science, chemical engineering, and bachelor of science, biochemistry, all from University of Ottawa. Okay, so hey, she's got a lot of credentials. The thing that's bothering me is that she's fucking out of shape. Theresa Tam, she's lean. I don't know. Maybe she deadlifts 500 pounds. I don't know. But this is what's starting to bother me. We don't take things seriously here. We don't have the personal responsibility to ensure that our public health minister, the individual that's in charge of public health, actually looks the part. Okay, this is something that's got to change here. And this is a trend here in Canada. Let me point out what's going on. So this was a meme that was made. This is the public health minister, or the analog in the United States, RFK Jr. He's in his 70s. He's fucking ripped. The dude's doing pull-ups. He's working out harder than I am. And I'm in my 40s. The guy puts his money where his mouth is. Yeah, he's on TRT, obviously, but he's in his 70s. I mean, a lot of us guys are on TRT. And rightly so. Our testosterone levels are shit. especially if you served. That's a whole other podcast. But who do we have here that's analogous? We have Nancy. I don't know. Maybe Nancy's a power lifter. Nancy, if you are, we need to clear this up. What do you do for PT? Because if your PT is not up to scratch, you shouldn't be public health minister. And we've gone down this path where you can occupy a role and not have to lead by example. You can be a doctor and be out of shape, unfit. What does that say? Your actions speak louder than words. I'm not okay with this. I think we should have a standard that is serious enough that says, hey, the person that is going to determine public health should be healthy. Because if you are obese, you have a disease. Obesity is a disease. It is the most deadly disease we know. It causes chronic inflammation, cancer, and a whole laundry list of disorders. That's why I constantly hammer on you got to get your weight down. You cannot be a fatty bombati. You're not allowed. You got to have the personal responsibility. And I know it sucks for a lot of us. Like, I've been down that road. It's not fun. You feel like crap all the time. You don't want to get back to the gym because you're fat. Everything starts to fall apart. But it's your responsibility to make sure that you stay healthy. And if our ministers, or I keep on saying minister, but our head of public health is not fit, then it's setting a poor example, in my opinion. I'll point out something that Nikola Tesla said. Nikola Tesla predicted in the future the importance of public health would grow significantly. He made a statement that emphasizes the vital role he envisioned for health-related departments in government. So his quote is, "The Secretary of Hygiene or Physical Culture will be far more important in the cabinet of the President of the United States who holds office in the year 2035 than the Secretary of War." I still think he's correct. Let me explain why. I think we have to go through this period where reality isn't, I shouldn't say reality isn't real, but where our perception of things, we know things are off. So we can say that, men can have babies. That doesn't make any sense. So like a communist government could say, hey, this tablecloth, we know it's white, but it's actually black because we say it's black. We're going through this period of nonsense because it allows us to then break through into, you want to call it a golden age. I see it coming. It's happening. People are fed up with nonsense. The people that should be in charge of these departments should be the fittest people. That should be a prerequisite. It should be a no-brainer that the individual that's in charge of health should be healthy. I would also argue, moving on to somebody else, that the Minister of Veterans Affairs should have a connection to veterans, should have served, should at least be on some boards with veterans, should have at least a fucking idea what a veteran is, and not some women's clothing salesperson who's never been an MP before dealing with a bunch of savages like me. She's yet to put out any statement regarding what her plan is. She posts things like this on Instagram, and I'm fed up. I've given her a chance. I've written her. I've posted on it. Hey, Minister McKnight, any updates? Any updates? This is her most recent post. She's the Minister of Veterans Affairs. There's people being offered made by your department. Nothing. There are massive lawsuits against your department. Nothing. Guys that have been trying to get mefloquine poisoning sorted out through your department. Nothing. COVID shots. Nothing. A maze of corruption through PCVRS. Nothing. You've yet to engage with, and then you're going on vacation and you're having strawberries. Like, Jill, wakey, eggs and bakey. Start connecting with your group of people. It's a very small group, but we're a bunch of degenerate savages. You got to show some leadership, because right now I'm fed up already. You've done zero, and now you're on summer vacation. So what? We just need to wait a little bit longer, I guess. We've got a lot of things on the docket that are going to keep on getting bigger. The analog in the United States is this guy, Doug Collins, Secretary of Veterans Affairs. What's his background? What's his pedigree? Well, he's a lawyer, politician, military officer, serving in the 12th United States Secretary of Veterans Affairs since 2025. A member of the Republican Party, previously served in U.S. representative for Georgia's 9th congressional. Already politically, he's a rock star. He still serves. Collins has served as a chaplain in the U.S. Air Force since 2002 and was promoted to colonel in 2023. So this guy, like, he gets it. He's on Sean Ryan's show talking about the issues that veterans face. He's talking about, yeah, we got to get to the veterans, man. He's listening. He's talking about psychedelic therapy. He's like, this guy has a massive bureaucracy to work with. He's not taking summer vacation and fucking the dog and eating strawberries. Like, he's not posting about eating strawberries. Dude, Jill, what are you doing? Wake up. And this is just more and more of this nonsense here in this country. We never get to the fucking root of the problem, because this is what I'm going to post here. This is Day's requirements for society. The first thing is be serious. Now, I'm not talking about like be dour and just a grumpy fuck. I'm talking about like, take things seriously, especially at the governmental level. That means listen, take action, even if it might not be with all the information. Just make a decision. And if things fuck up, own it. That's the take responsibility part. Did I spell it right? That's a hard one to spell in the CAF. I've seen it spelled like 700 different ways, but I got it. Take responsibility. So in this case, like, Jill, you're not taking responsibility, in my opinion. Yeah, you're visiting some veterans in PEI. Good for you. Where's the statements? Where's the leadership? What's the vision? Don't know. And you can't tell me that, oh, it's the first time I'm here as an MP. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just getting onboarded. Don't care. I don't care. If Carney puts you in the position, he believes in you. So step up. Lead by example. Well, I would say, a great way to show that you're behind the veteran population is like, get fit. Show a picture of yourself going to the gym. You're out of shape, unsatisfactory. Start going to the gym. Start trying to be a warrior. Show us that you have the warrior spirit. I'm reading a good book. It's called Born Fighting. It's about my people, the Scots-Irish. I'm starting to learn a lot more about why I am the way I am. And traditionally, my people that go back all the way to the era of Hadrian and the wall that consistently beat them back and required Hadrian to build a wall, and subsequently ended up as Ulster Scots that moved over here to North America. We don't like being led by ding-dongs. We're William Wallace's people. We'll follow somebody if they show us they deserve to be followed. I can't really see you as a leader of the veteran community. You're not, until you start stepping up. So I'm giving you a little bit of leeway here, Jill. Start getting to the gym. Get some PT into you. Stop going easy on those strawberry smoothies. And then last one is don't be a bitch. We got bitchiness that it's pervasive in our community. It's pervasive everywhere. The whining, the victimhood shit. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. Harden up, make a hard stance. And like the next thing on this is, if we look at the CAF, we have the government flip-flopping on pay. Well, this doesn't affect me directly because I'm out. But you're telling me that this doesn't affect the community as a whole? Because obviously I see this, and shout out to Depressed Stoker memes. I commented on your post because poor guy, man. I feel for you guys that are still in. Oh, no, it's happening. Yeah, 20% raise. Okay, young buck. All right. Well, like clockwork, they say, oh, well, hold on a sec. We can't actually get that payout to you guys. What were we thinking? Well, that's why I made the meme on this thumbnail here. Let's see if I can pull it up. It's hilarious. Just here, this is what I have right here. So you probably can't see it up close, but I basically had ChatGPT make me a meme of what just happened here. And it's a general talking to Carney like, sir, we've almost completely demoralized CAF morale. What do we do next to finish off the job? And then there's a VAC bureaucrat behind him like, hold my beer. This is the way the system works. It's a demoralization machine. Hence the reason why you need to work on your mental health. But what does that actually mean, right? Working on your mental health is a great thing to say. I didn't know what it meant. Working on my mental health. What do I do? Do I take a course? Do I go to school? What do I talk to my psych? Do I take SSRIs until I puke. What is working on my mental health? So I've come up with a few protocols, but everybody's got something different. I write about it. That's why I wrote a book. That's why I got a podcast. But it's not just solely about mental health, because if you just look at mental health as a solitary thing in a box, it's going to get you in trouble, because your mind, if you weren't aware, is connected to your body. So this needs to work in conjunction. And one thing that I've noticed is this whole system, this whole CAF government system, if you get sucked in, it's going to completely wreck your mental health. And if you're still in a system that requires you to play ball so that you can get your benefits, which is a whole other problem in and of itself. But like we say, a lot of times, you got to play the game, dude. You got to play the game. Well, if you lose your shit and you threaten people, you might get charged. You might get your benefits cut. And now they got you exactly where they want you. You can't let that happen. You got to focus the inner stoic. You got to dig deep. But if you're struggling with things like post-traumatic stress or methylene poisoning or TBI, how do you do that? That is a tall order. I've had to go through it. It took a lot of patience. It took a lot of breath work. It took a lot of inner focus and getting to the root of why am I so angry. But ultimately, that's what we're going to talk about today with Mike. Okay, so before I bring Mike on the stage, let's see what we got in the comments, and we'll pull Mike in here. So we got WS. WS, thanks for coming back, man. Haven't seen you in a little bit, but we've been fucked over since the adoption of the, that's the charter, yeah. The new veteran charter in 2006. Yeah, big cock up that was, eh? 2-tier of veterans. And last week, I actually went over the House of Commons report. Sorry, getting itchy here. That talked about it and the recommendations. So some of the recommendations were like, we got to actually identify the veterans that have fought in war as war veterans. The fact that you have to get lawyer-like and create all these different terms when war is war, man. If you're in a combat zone, meaning there's bullets that are coming at you or there's danger of death, and you're wearing a uniform with the flag on your shoulder and you're carrying a gun, you're in war. I don't care if it's bullets and bombs and death and destruction all day, or you're guarding a gate. You're a fucking war, man. So we should all have the same benefits. There shouldn't be these convoluted maze of programs that ultimately just strips you of your sanity, but also is completely emasculating, because it causes a disconnect, a cognitive dissonance, because you have on one side, hey, you're part of the CAF family. We look after our own. No man left behind. But yet these are supposed to be benefits, but they're not benefits, because the way they talk about them, they talk about them as awards. Like, hey, you did well. You got through everything. Here, you get this award. No, it's a benefit. Like, I serve, so therefore I get my benefit. It doesn't matter if I'm nice about it. It doesn't matter if I play nice about it. Give me my fucking money, which is essentially what my grandfather got and my grandmother after he passed. He didn't talk to VAC. Why don't we have that? In my opinion, it's just a bunch of palm greasing. And that's, my rant about the charter. It's just a way to siphon more public dollars into private corporations that are big donors to our big two parties, namely the Westons. That's it. They're the most powerful family in Canada, and they'll probably shut this channel down for talking about it, but fuck it, man. Like, they own everything. They own the whole system now. They're smart. Good for them on the business side. They own the drug distribution. They own all so Shoppers Drug Mart. They own Loblaws. They own LifeMark. They own PCVRS. They own it all. So they've essentially privatized the care of veterans. Good for them. Good for them. But now it's time for us to push back and say, we don't want this anymore. We don't need it. We don't need it. And screw your system. 180 NDT. 5% will not even replace the military equipment supplies given away and money owed to the CAF. Yeah. I haven't even seen a budget on this, so I don't know. How much of this is going to Ukraine? How much are they going to say, well, the spending, this is military spending, so it's, a few billion going to Ukraine. I just don't know how you can justify sending anything to a foreign government when you don't have the actual things yourself. It doesn't make any sense to me. The fact that there are some troops that have to get second jobs or they can't find housing is a travesty. If you had if you had this size of military like the Americans, I understand how people can fall through the cracks. It is so big, but we are so small and we have so many resources. The fact that people fall through the cracks is an absolute disaster. And it's such a failure of leadership. It makes it hard to be proud of our country, because if you don't treat your troops well, then who are you going to treat well? Who are you going to treat well? They're the only ones that have signed on the dotted line that have said, I will give my life for this country. And yet some of them have to go to food banks. Dude, come on. 5% doesn't fix morale. This affects morale. Yeah, he's truly a patriot. Agreed. And we got a bunch of new comments here. It's getting spicy. See here. It's this one. 20% pay raise because 26 raise in PMQ rent. Oh, oh man. Those market forces, man. You just create more inflation. Odious Patton, welcome back, dude. Claims denied over and over for 4 years to get 3B compensation. Yeah, it's a fucked up system, man. Not gonna lie. All right, so let's bring Mike on. He's been waiting patiently here. I'm going to add him to the stage. Mike, it's an absolute pleasure, buddy. Thanks for reaching out to me on. Yeah, thanks for reaching out to me on Instagram. Good timing, right? And I just want to echo that, folks. I think people, because I have a show, just assume that I'm like inundated with comments and requests and messages. But the reality is, no. And it's because people think that you are inundated that they don't reach out. And I've learned that, like, personally, by inviting really cool guests on the show that have hundreds of thousands of followers. Some have millions of. I go, hey, dude, I really like your stuff. You want to come on the show? Yeah, Dave, that sounds great. If you don't ask, you don't get. So, Mike, I just want to send some appreciation your way and asking to come on the show, man. That's the point of the live. Anybody that has kind of something going on in the veteran community and you hit me at the right time, and I got a slot open, I definitely want to get you on. So, Mike, you have an interesting program that you've been putting together. So let's share it with folks. What are you up to, and what do you want to share today?
Silent Soldier Initiative is bringing awareness regarding mental health, not only to veteran community, but first responders as well as civilians. We're trying to get an outreach program, nonprofit, where we'll do the legwork for you and directing you how to go about things, where to go about things, and so forth. It's unfortunate that the way society is, everything costs money nowadays. Mm-hmm. So we're going to try and develop a team of psychologists, psychiatrists, counselors, and everything else. We're also going to have a 1-800 number. And this is all in the process of getting this organized and to help veterans, first responders, as well as civilians, because the suicide rate is so high amongst everybody. And it's only going to get higher because of the way the government system is.
Mike, can I interrupt you there? Yep. So I've tried to nail down a number. Mm-hmm. I've looked at the research. The research from VAC has said that we are 1.4 times more likely to commit suicide than the average Canadian. Yeah. Okay. But I've been trying to find the number that there has to be a number that they've referenced, but I can't get that number. And I find that odd because in the United States, they have a number that they can reference, 156,000.
Yeah.
That's like since the start of the GWAT, that's how many they know have committed suicide. And it's likely, the margin of error is probably pretty big on that, but at least they can narrow it down to a number that's within reason. I don't know what our number is. Do you have a guess? Or
I couldn't even tell you. I think they keep those numbers hidden.
That's what I was hinting at. Yeah. I think they keep it hidden on purpose because there has to be some number somewhere. And whatever that number is, it's going to be way higher because they're not tracking reservists.
Oh, yeah.
And I was a reservist. Yeah. And there's no way that they know what's going on in the reserve population. And I think that's why they want to keep it hush-hush.
Yeah, see, because I know, like, personally, when I was in, I had 2 roommates attempt suicide and 1 committed suicide.
Mm.
And that's just my time.
Yeah.
And that's just in one unit. So let alone how many other units and things like that. And it's unfortunate it happens, but it does.
Mhm.
And I'm old school where the pressure that was put on us, it was a lot different from this new school stuff. And but I've since being out and everything else, the people I've met over time and that, the suicide rate is beyond belief. And I'm talking probably in the last 20 years, at least 30 people that I know personally have committed suicide.
And are they all military, or
Not all military.
not all military? Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? But is it all men as well?
No, no, it ranges from like young kids all the way up to grown adults and everything else. And it's just the stigma that's around the mental health aspect of things. It's beyond belief. And because
Mhm.
personally, I do suffer from PTSD, depression, anxiety, and I've been through all the counseling. I've seen it. I've done it. And for how they reach out and how they want to dictate things to me. And dealing with Veterans Affairs is a prime example, because I had a case manager at one point in time sit with me through one of my psychological appointments, and he deemed me as a threat. And I'm like, how? Because I was supposed to go to Edgewood for treatment, and I was flagged because of his comments. And unfortunately, I didn't go to Edgewood. And I found it funny because even my psychologist at the time, very, very, very good, but she even laughed and she's like, "This is ridiculous." Because I told him, I says, if I got a problem with you, we're gonna do it old school. I'll take you all back. I'll sort your ass out, and that's it. End of story. He didn't like that. He took it as a personal threat. I was like, whatever, But this is how these doctors and everybody else, they take it to such a personal extent. It's like, when I'm trying to voice my opinion on how I feel at that time, but you're taking it to such a point where, you know, yeah, people are going to speak out of anger. And this is where I've also learned civilian side, to speak out of anger. You can't do it.
Hmm. That's a really good point. The inability for the system that's supposed to take care of us to
Hmm.
know where we're coming from,
Yep.
where, like, I don't know what your trade was, but regardless of what your trade is, the whole point of being in the military is to bring violence to the enemy and kill
Yep.
that enemy. So therefore, the ethos, the way we work, is all that one mission,
Hmm.
which is to defend against our enemies, and which
Yep.
is code for we need to kill the people that are trying to attack us,
Yep.
and vice versa. Go kill. So because that, or our whole entire organization is based upon going and killing an enemy,
Hmm.
you're going to have more aggressive people and more in your face people that make it through for how many years you're in, and that inability to recognize that, hey, maybe this guy, like, they're just more aggressive, but they're not going to actually attack me. This is just how they express frustration. We haven't learned how to be like civilianized and speak about our emotions in a, like, quote unquote normal way.
Hmm.
This is how we do it. Like, I want to fucking punch you in the face right now, dude. It's like, oh, okay, well, I guess I crossed the line. Where do we
Yep.
go from here? That would be a normal response, in my opinion. But I know I can't talk to my case manager that way. She'd fucking
Yep.
cry.
And
She'd cry.
that's the thing. Like for me, I was a full combat trade. Then I was like doing MMA and everything. I was doing security in bars. I'm not a big guy, but I know
Yep.
how to handle myself.
Yep.
And when I started getting in trouble with the law, the stigma where people would use it against me. Oh, well, you're a combat trade. You're crazy, and oh yeah, you've got PTSD, and oh yeah, you're just absolutely nuts. So they would label me,
Mhm.
and it got to a point when I was getting in trouble with the police so often, where they ended up sending female officers because I wouldn't take their shit. And I told them, I said, "You want to go? We'll go." I said, "You hide behind that badge." I says, "I don't give a shit about your badge or not." Because I dealt with that in the military. My senior NCOs, same thing. Because they were my senior NCOs, it didn't matter. Because I was taught a while back, about Jesus and everything else. And I told them, I said, "You say Jesus bleeds just like me? Okay, if I got a problem with you, I'm going to sort you out." But, I also know like violence doesn't solve everything. So, and this is where I had to learn the law and be self taught about the law. Now they really don't like that because I use the law against them. And when I can quote criminal law towards police officers, and they're telling me, no, that's not part of it. I'm like, this is in the Criminal Code of Canada, the very code that I put my life on the line to protect. And you're telling me, no, it's not. So, and this is part of the initiative is because of the fact we're going to speak up in regards to these people that can't speak up for themselves or are too afraid to speak up for themselves. They want to threaten me with jail. Go ahead. It doesn't bother me. Like, and it's unfortunate because the mental health aspect of things, it takes its toll. Like when we did an earlier interview and I told him, and I was being honest, like I'm a suicide jockey. I think about suicide every single day. And it's the people around me. There's very few in my life now that I keep close because they keep me grounded and they keep me pushing forward. And I have my bad days just like everybody else. But dealing with Veterans Affairs, dealing with police, dealing with health system, everything plays its toll. It's like you put that little penny on top of one another and you start getting stacked. Eventually, it's going to fall down. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate because I'm still here, and they haven't taken me out yet. They try to, but if anything I took from the military, it's like never give up.
Yeah, right on. So what are some of the key things that your initiative wants to convey to folks?
Never to give up. Never to give up. And it sucks because I see people now in my life where they struggle. And so they reach out to me and I try and help them as best I can. But some people, they don't understand. I have my own personal struggles, so I still have to try and balance it out. And when they push it to a point, for me, my personal thing, I shut down. And I know I shouldn't, but I shut down. But I try and tell people, I'll give you the keys to operate and you go forward. If you need help operating that thing, I can try and teach you. However, I don't want to do all the legwork for your situation type thing. I'll guide you, but I can't help you.
Yeah, that's an important part of when you're in like the helping space. Mm-hmm. I've been doing that for a while now on the fitness side of thing. And the expression, you can't lead a horse to water. I mean, sorry, you can lead a horse to water, you can't force him to drink.
Yeah.
Is true. I mean, it's also hard, especially if, obviously you're in a space that you want to help people. So obviously you have a tendency towards doing that.
Yeah.
And so that's part of who you are. But one thing I had to learn is to guard myself. And I learned it partially in Afghanistan. The hardest thing for me was like not helping kids.
Yeah.
You're on patrol. You're like, fuck, these kids on food. Fuck. It's like, man, what do I do? It's like, well, I can't help everybody here. It's impossible. It's impossible. Yeah. And then when I'm home, okay, well, I can't help every veteran. And on top of that, some don't even want the help. And, the best quote I got, I was listening to Jordan Peterson years ago, and he's like, it's a biblical reference, but you don't cast pearls before swine. It sounds pretty rough, but it essentially means like, don't give up, all of your best information and all your best advice for people that just don't want to take it because it's just going to drain you and it's going to piss them off.
Yeah.
So you have to kind of pull back and be like, okay, when you're ready, brother, we're here and we could take it from there. So I like that message.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is because, unfortunately for me, like I give everything I got to a lot of people. Some people take advantage of it and, I learned from it, but, I still try and help because it's, the old saying, you never leave someone behind. Mm-hmm. And it's tough because some people have done me so wrong where, I still give them the second, third chances and everything else. And then they wonder why, well, my action is not really action, but it's a reaction to their actions. And whether or not it be positive or negative, that's totally on them. The onus is on them. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not perfect, but I've seen a lot more shit than most people. And especially when it comes to the justice system and everything else. And my things I've seen in the military as well, it's been, I've learned the hard way. And I'm still here. So, when I have to deal with certain individuals and that, sometimes I can be hard as hell. It doesn't mean I don't care, because I look at it this way. I care about everybody. Even like these people on the streets and everything else. I still care about them, but how can I help them if they don't want to help themselves?
That's it.
And
That's
when
it.
you got everybody resorting to drugs and alcohol and everything else, I've been down that road as well, and I haven't been down as far as some people, but it's like I've gotten to a point in my life where the people I've met, there's one individual out there, she's starting to make me realize about becoming a vegan.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, but it's changed my thought values. And
Yeah.
I'm like, so, this is somebody that never liked vegetables. I was a meat and potatoes person. So, people can change.
Of course.
And it's like, it's the people that want to change for themselves to better themselves.
And the interesting thing about change is that when you change one thing and genuinely change, it leads to more change, right? And that's the beauty of being human, right? The act of doing something creates more action, and then that inevitably creates the transformation. And that's how I use fitness. Fitness was that transformation. Like it was always kind of part of my life, but when I was struggling, I couldn't see it. I was just no, I'm just in this pain cave. I'm just and then struggling, white knuckling everything. But I could control the fitness thing. So I didn't start with like, oh, I'm going to improve my mental health.
Yeah.
I knew I had to change something, but I didn't know what that meant. So I just said, well, screw it. I'm just going to start at the gym and I'm just going to be consistent. And that's all I can do. And then that's, it's been 5, actually more than that. It's been 8 years of just incremental, consistent growth. And I like what you're saying about like, a lot of us can get in trouble with either the law, with VAC, with the structures that are, quote unquote, managing us, because it's not in line with who we are. But the important thing is like, you mentioned, like you got to make sure that if you're talking to somebody, you recognize maybe I need to change a little bit just in this interaction, because I want to get like you're having an interaction because you want to get better. You want to get to a better place. So it's having that moment of pause to not allow yourself to do the thing that you would typically do, which is either, say something that, might just pop in your head. Like, dude, shut the fuck up. You're pissing me off. To, okay. Yep. Sounds good. And, you mentioned, shutting down. That's typically when I get overwhelmed, I'll shut down, fight, flight, freeze, flee. I'll bounce either psychologically or physically. I'll just leave. But recognizing these things, and this is the good thing that's come out of, I think, the last, 20 years of war. It's really allowed the veteran community to start grabbing the really good habits that are out there in like the general population in civvy land that have constantly been inaccessible to us. Right. And that's thanks to the internet and, being able to talk to really cool people like yourself and, other folks I've had on the show, just to get a different perspective on things. And all it takes is one episode to change your life. So I just wanted to, sorry, Mike, I just wanted to go over just a comment here. WS posted, you got to save yourself first and then you can help others. And I totally agree. It's really hard to, it's really hard to go and help others if you're really struggling. You're going to have, it's like a wounded animal, right? You're going to pull yourself back. You're going to tend to that wound. But the other important thing is too, there's going to have to be somebody that's going to have to be there to help you tend to that wound, because you can't do it on your own. It's just, you won't be healing out loud, so to speak. You'll be healing in silence for a little bit, but it's a phase. And then as you start getting better, you'll get the signs, and it's listening to those signs when, in my case, my back was messed up, my knee was messed up, my PTSD issues were messed up. I wasn't able to go help. I just wasn't, and then slowly but surely I got the sign that, hey, I'm actually providing some value. People want to listen. Okay, maybe I'll do a little bit more. And then once you start seeing that building a little bit more, then it becomes a little bit easier and a little bit less scary. So I just want
with that comment too, it's like old school army. It's like, suck it up, soldier on type thing. It's like, you're always saying, okay, you got to look up your gun partner, things like that. But it's always that old school mentality where it's like, yeah, you got to suck it up and soldier on.
Yeah. And you know what? There's value to that too. You know, like we can't just completely get rid of that from our ethos and our culture, because there's time and place for everything. You know, I think sometimes we get into black and white thinking.
Mm-hmm.
At least I have. It's like, you know, my mind was, I'm senior NCO Dave for the longest time. So that means I'm on the straight and narrow. I don't fuck around, you know, but in reality, there was something that was not right with that. Like I was not in alignment with who I actually am. I'm very creative. I like doing creative shit. You know, I like to dance. I like to do art. But I was like, no, a sergeant doesn't do that. I was like, but nobody told me that. It was just a story I told myself. So these things I had to kind of integrate into who I actually was. And then I started really, and you know, like they say, like life begins at 40 type of thing. You know,
a little bit of a story behind that one. I was tasked down to Washington, D.C. one time and under General Burrell. And at the time, he was Chief of Defense Staff. Well, he asked me what I thought of the artillery. I says, well, sir, I think it sucks. He's like, oh, really? I says, yeah. I says, I wanted infantry and you guys gave me artillery. He's like, well, we'll have to see about that. Next thing you know, I get back to my unit and, oh, yeah. I got torn a new one called saying I got balls of a brass monkey and everything else. And I'm like, why would you say that to the Chief of Defense Staff? Right? He asked me a question.
Yeah, don't ask for an open mic if you're not willing to listen.
So yeah, it's like, you know, I had no filter in the military and I paid my price. But at the same time, you know, I'm hoping that I earn the respect of my peers and everybody else because I didn't sugarcoat shit. And yeah, I got a lot of drawback from a lot of officers and that, but you know, I spoke my mind.
Well, you know, we're at a time now here in Canada that we can't have the folks that like yourself that speak their mind and just tell it like it is to hide away. We've done that for the last 15, 20 years or so, and look where it's gotten us.
Yeah, exactly.
Look where it's gotten us, you know, and that's where I really believe the veteran population is that population that is going to have a massive impact over the next decade. Because what are we going to do? We're just going to let things just deteriorate around us when it's us that went and did all the fighting and, you know, that did all the dirty work. No, I'm not just going to let the country fall apart. So I'm doing what I think I can do, which is talking on the mic and doing events.
Yeah.
Am I the prime minister? No, but I'm hoping that incrementally there's a little bit of change, and I just hope it inspires more people. And if
but
you get
the
a little
people
bit
that
fitter,
are speaking out now aren't the right people. Like, you know, you have.
I guess that's all. I guess that's all relative.
Yeah.
But if things get worse and you're the one speaking up, well, maybe you're the problem. But then again, for them, they're like, no, things are great. But I think we're at that moment. But the overwhelming majority of Canadians, I believe, are like doing what we're doing here. They don't think we're crazy. The people that do are the small minority. I think there's a small minority. It's just so many people just don't pay attention and just do their own thing. But when you have conversations with just regular people, everybody kind of agrees on the basics. And if it wasn't for, you know, being able to speak out and, you know, have shows like this, I think more people would just be in their little silos, in their little boxes. But I think it's finally becoming acceptable to be like, no, I just don't like the way things are going. That's okay to say, you know, and, you know, because, you know, Mike, you served. I mean, service is a really important part of the tapestry of being Canadian. And, you know, Don Cherry, you know, he did a podcast the other day. Everybody was freaking out that he's like, well, that's it. He's done. I don't think he's done. I think they just screwed up in the messaging. I think he's coming back, but he's 91.
Yeah.
But, you know, Don was like one of the few guys, and I love the guy because I'm in Afghanistan. It's Christmas Day, and he's there on the ground, shaking my hand, shooting the shit. There was one other politician there. I think Peter MacKay was there. He's defense minister. So good on him. But he didn't have to be there. It's Christmas Day in a war zone. And Don Cherry is there shaking hands and saying like, hey, you know, you got to go get your poppy. Go get your poppy. You know, like support the troops. Yeah. And what happened because of that? He got turfed. Yeah. You know? And now people are like, you know what? We probably shouldn't have done that. We probably should have kept Don around.
Yeah, you know? But where's the repercussions for like who's taking accountability? Nobody. Nobody. There is no accountability anymore. No. You know, and that's another big issue with this world is nobody takes accountability for their own actions. And it sucks. It's like own up to your shit. You know, things will get bad, but they won't get that much worse if you take accountability. You know, I've broken the law. I went in front of judges and I told them, like, you know, yeah, I'm guilty.
Yeah.
Like, I got nothing to hide. Freaking give me what you got. But, you know, it's unfortunate.
That brings us back to here. Day's requirements for society. Be serious,
Yep.
take responsibility, lead by example, and don't be a bitch. That's it.
Yep.
If
Yeah.
we all did that, we'd be good. We
I
would
know.
be
Like, between
good.
that take responsibility, lead by example, that's key. Like, you know, and that's one thing military taught me is like you lead by example.
Yeah.
And you know,
Yeah.
like when I was doing ironwork, things like that, and I was doing cladding, I would do jobs with my guys and I tell them if I did the job and I expect you to do the job, you know, it's something I haven't done.
Mhm.
Like shoveling shit. Same thing. You know,
Yeah.
you pay your dues.
Pay your dues. That's it. So Mike, let's get into some comments here. We got a bunch of comments coming through.
Okay.
I want to highlight Odious here. He's a long-time listener. Never go full vegan. Never go full vegan.
Oh.
We'll see here what General steak is for rich people, soldiers should get a cow discount. I agree. I would typically get steaks every week from Costco for me and the family. We can't do that shit no more.
I know my favorite Rat Pack was friggin' lasagna.
Oh man, it's good. It's good. Meat lasagna?
No, just the basic lasagna.
Man, I really didn't like that one. You know what? People are gonna say I'm weird, and you can let me know in the comments. My favorite was the salmon. I love the salmon.
They had salmon?
Yeah. Okay. So what are you? Are you a 90s veteran?
Yeah.
Okay. No, in the 2000s, we had salmon. And everyone's like, dude, it stinks. That's disgusting. I'm like, no, man, I'd serve this to my girlfriend. I crack it open. You know, this is fine cuisine. I get to eat it in the field. Loved it. That was awesome. Those guys just avoided it like the plague. Nah, I really like the salmon. What else we got here? What else we got? We got I don't know the one. I told them I'll go hell, ride a motorbike, snowboard, enjoy my firearms. Never give up yourself when others will. Okay, so one ABNDT looks like you had a good transformation there. Oh wait, okay, I got the first part. I missed the first part. Over 25 years ago. There we go. This makes sense. I lost my arm. Oh shit, nearly my life. My doctors filled me with, I don't know what drug that is, and fentanyl. I know what that is. Patches. It turned me into a 240-pound unmotivated vegetable until I woke up one day. Now this makes sense. And told them all to go to hell. Now I'm 180 pounds. Right. I'm assuming that's a motorbike, snowmobile, and enjoy my firearms. Never give up on yourself when others will. Hey, that's a great story, man. I'm glad you came through. I mean, I started down that road of Percocets, so you know, opioids, because that was the treatment, especially as a reservist. I got no, like, there's no follow there, like here. And I would have been 30 at the time. The only thing that saved me from going down is I actually knew the issues with opiates because I did my education in biochemistry and had classes on like addiction and how it interacts with the human body. And I was like, I don't know if like the juice is worth the squeeze, knowing that I can get like severely addicted to these things. So I just got rid of them and just took the pain. Like, you know, Mike, I just sucked it up. It's just, I was like, oh, this is really painful, but I don't know if I want the opioids. And thank God I didn't, because I don't know if I could have easily got addicted, because I mean, it did take away the pain for a little bit. And then you have to take a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and then a little bit more. And then that
was always their go-to, because my top drawer in my dresser was all the pills. Like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, here's some T3s. Like, I tore ligaments in my ankles. Here's a pair of crutches, and here's T3s.
Yep.
It's like,
yeah. And the other thing is too, you know, like all the, like the T3s, but especially the Motrin and, you know, the Advils and the ibuprofen and all that stuff. I thought it was like, you could take as much of it as you want and you'd be fine. There's no repercussions. But now the research is showing like, yeah, long-term use of that shreds your liver and your kidneys.
Yeah.
Like just blows them up. And I'm like, oh crap, really? Because like, I don't know about you, but I took a lot of those things. What we call airborne Smarties, right? Like we just pop them all the time. Everything always hurt. So of course I'm going to take them all the time, because I just thought there was no long-term side effects. But it turns out there's really bad long-term side effects that are like pretty much irreversible. So, there's toxicity with it. It just comes with the game. I mean, it's not complaining that like, oh, poor me, but it's just knowing that these things do have repercussions. And then what do you do to mitigate them and be healthier? So it's good to hear that folks like yourself and others are, getting off the pills. There's been a lot of success stories here on the show about getting off the pills. And the one that comes up all the time is Toby Miller, who was on, I think, 19 different like antipsychotics and, mood stabilizers and pain meds. And he was having psychotic issues. And there's just like, it was bad, man. And then he just found psychedelics and he slowly was able to just like get rid of them all and be normal. And so that's, part of what I'm trying to push here as well too, is like, there's other solutions out there. And just because VAC and the CAF don't know about them or want to promote them doesn't mean they're not effective.
Yeah.
And then it just comes, but everything is do your own research and listen and learn and be responsible. It's your response. I think that was the biggest takeaway. And it sounds like that's what you're talking about too, Mike, is like, you have to ultimately be the one that's responsible for your own health. You can't put it in the hands of a doctor. You can't put it in the hands of the military. You can't put it in the hands of VAC. It's like, no, what you're saying, great suggestion. However, I want to do this instead.
Yeah. Because I know, like, they prescribe me, because sleep deprivation, they prescribe me Zopicone. And they're like, take one every evening and everything else to help me sleep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it got to a point where my body got so immune to it, I started taking like 6, 7, 8 pills a night.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And when I told my doctor this, he's like, stop. I'm like,
yeah.
He's like, if it's not even put you to sleep after that many, he's like, you're taking more than what'll kill most people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
so a good soldier, right, will be like, well, more is better.
Yeah.
Right. That's basically how we operate. More,
but
PT
that's the thing.
better.
It's the training that we go through. Because like I still remember we did a 10-day exercise. I had 5 hours sleep in 10 days.
Yeah.
And that's how we're trained. And that's how we're programmed.
Yep.
And people couldn't understand that. And they're like, well, yeah, but you're this old, you're no longer in the military. And it's the old saying, I'm out of the military, but the military is still in me.
Mm.
And, I refuse to take pills. They prescribe me for everything. And for pain, they don't even bother with T3s anymore with me. They go right to Percocets and things like that.
Yeah.
Hydromorphine. Like I don't know. Friends always ask me, do you have anything? Of course I got everything. I've got a freaking pharmacy, for God's sake.
Yeah. I know.
But yeah, I could care less about all that shit.
I'm going to share with the folks here. This is I'll just hide this comment for now. Grunt Style Foundation, the war cry for change. Talked about it a few times. I really love what they're doing here in the States. One of these, they have a documentary, Medicating Normal, and they have the prescribing veteran suicides initiative as well. The SSRI issue in the States is really bad. They started tackling the opioid issue a while back with the veteran population because they realized like this is a problem, but then they just kind of casually slipped in SSRIs instead. And it is likely contributing to the massive amounts of suicide that they're seeing in the United States. And likely it's the same here, but we don't conduct the research to actually know because we're data poor here again. We're always data poor here. So we have to borrow from them. But pills, obviously, this isn't medical advice, folks, but you have to be very wary about what you're putting in your body, especially if it's a pharmaceutical, because if your doctor is not giving you a protocol being like, you're taking this for 3 months, we're going to check in. And if you're not better, then we're either going to up the dose, see how that goes for another 3 months. And if that doesn't work out, then we're taking you off it and we're trying something else. And if they're not asking about, hey, how's your nutrition? How's your sleep? How's your diet? Then they're not doing their standard of care like they should be.
Yeah.
And it's up to you then to be like, okay, doc, thanks. And in acute situations, from my experience, pills work, but it's not a long-term solution to be on a SSRI, to be on a pain med, to be what is causing those psychological or physical pain is the most important thing you need to answer. And it's likely a very complex system because your body is a complex system that needs solving. So it's not like in 2 months, you're going to be better. You took 10, 15 years of abuse on your body and your mind. Give yourself some grace. It may take 5 years to figure this out, but figure it out.
And that's where the addiction starts.
Precisely.
And once that addiction hits, and oh yeah, I need these pills. I need these pills. It's like, no, like you're shutting down your own body. You don't even realize it. You're causing harm, and it causes like so much damage. Then you got people like me that actually give a damn about people, and like, you got to wean yourself off. They're like, well, yeah, but you don't even take pills, because I chose not to, because I've seen people go through that, and I've seen the outcome of it, and it's not pretty.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I think it's a combination of things that is making this so prevalent in the veteran community. Because it's also prevalent just in like the non-veteran community. Like doctors just prescribe pills, and that to me is not care. So I think it's just a capture by a pharmaceutical industry, and the normalization that as you get older, you're supposed to fall apart and just take pills until the day you die. That doesn't make any sense to me. And there's also the incentives for all these organizations to keep us medicated, because, dude, like Mike, you're speaking up. Well, you can't really speak up if you're medicated and sitting in a hole in your basement, or killing yourself. Like ultimately, a lot of us are very opinionated, and we can see that, especially our government is freaking petrified of us. They made it clear that they know we're a lot more of a threat, and I'm not talking like physical threat. We're a substantial threat to Canadian, like well, I shouldn't even say Canadian. I should say to the current establishment, and we don't even recognize it. But what the hell just happened to my video? What just happened there? I got this huge confetti explosion. I don't know how that happened. So they know that we're a threat, but we don't recognize that we're a threat, because like they during the convoy, they put in the Emergencies Act. They've thrown veterans in jail. They've dumped us in snowbanks. They've treated us like dog shit. They don't listen to us. They keep us relegated to our basements as much as they can. This is all because I'm pretty confident they see us as a massive threat, because the people will listen to us, because we've actually done the work. And that's gives me a lot of hope. We just need to start organizing a little bit better. So go ahead, sir.
No, it's like, and it's these officers, like, okay, for the convoy and everything else. Like, I was watching it too, and then when I saw the veterans protecting the monument and everything else, and all of a sudden I see them being escorted. That, like, I was going to go there, and I was going to raise hell, because I'm like, to hell with you guys. Because that really hit home, because I still remember being on that same parade on that square as people were walking by spitting on it. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, we put our lives on the line. We signed the dotted line to protect your very rights to do shit like this. So don't disrespect us, type thing. And, to see people nowadays where, oh, well, I'm entitled. Like, if you're so fucking entitled, you go sign the dotted line. You go put your life on the line. Because I guarantee you wouldn't last 20 seconds in basic training. And, and that's the old school mentality where, here, I'm going to sort your ass out back. We're going to come in. We're going to drink beers. And if you still act like a dick, I'm going to sort your ass out again. Simple as that.
Speaking of beers, I cracked one earlier. It kind of blew up in my lap, but it's a local brewery. I wanted to give a shout out to. They are from Saint Eustache here in Quebec. It's
cool.
simple malt in Saint Eustache, Quebec. And this is the Fuse Droit au But 54. It's named after a fusilier de Montréal. So anyways, go check them out, guys. It's actually quite good. So talking about beers. Good beer in the go on a Friday at the end of the day. So Mike, folks, if they want to find you and get a little more info as to what you're up to, and I think you're a pretty cool guy, where can folks find you?
We've got Silent Soldier Initiative. Our webpage is currently in reconstructive mode. We've also got social media on all different platforms, Instagram, Facebook, you name it, it's on there. As well, you can reach out to me personally. It's Michael Ducharme on Facebook. It's I got the Silent Soldier Initiative logo in my name. Yeah, there we go. On Instagram, I'm what Michael RD32 or Michael underscore RD32 on Instagram. Like I've got nothing to hide from anybody. Reach out. I'm more than willing to help anybody, and that's what we're a part of. You know.
Right on. Right on. So Mike, really appreciate your insights, man. And it's always great to get fellow veterans here on the show,
Yeah.
chatting about what they're up to.
If I can, I'd like to give one plug to Mira's events and Mira's Apparel. A good friend of mine, his wife reached out and everything else, and they're highly supportive of veterans and the veteran community, and it's phenomenal to have such support from not only them but from others that have been around, that know me personally and that know what I'm about and know what this is all about and helping people with mental health. And so, just a quick shout out to them.
Right on. Right on. Just want to bring up a comment here. Thank you to today's guest. So that's at you, Mike.
Thank you.
I echo that as well. Thanks for showing up, sharing what you're up to. And this is the point of the show, to bring the community here a little bit closer together and share a beer, share some stories.
But also, I would have brought some.
But also get a little bit closer to becoming hard to kill. So just to recap here, folks, there's a few things on the burner, and I just wanted to bring your attention back to the book launch, which is happening this Saturday at Indigo. And if you guys are in the Montreal area, I'd love to see you there. Be great. And we also got a few fundraisers that are supporting some of the troops that need our help. So Ryan and Lee, they've got GoFundMe's on the go. So if you want to go support them, please do so. And don't forget, get your C4L and HTK or H2K sticker collab, where some of the proceeds go to Warrior Adventures Canada, help out a fellow veteran cause. And also make sure to like, subscribe to the podcast, and then go check out Mike's stuff and go give him a follow as well. And hit him up on Instagram at the, let's get you back up here, at the Silent Soldier Initiative. We'll pull that up right here. Boom. So Mike, much appreciated for your time, my friend.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, absolutely. And keep us updated here on the show.
Yeah, I will.
What's going on. And folks, go support fellow veteran doing some good work here. And for everybody that commented and shared their thoughts, really appreciate it. And don't forget, we grow by subscriptions and sharing with your bros. So make sure to make that happen, and your gals. So make sure that you make that happen. Let's make sure that we have more content on the interwebs that supports veteran causes and builds a stronger, harder to kill community. Thanks again. Don't forget, train hard, fight easy. See you on the next one. Peace.
Take care.